Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rance alongside Tommy Krysan here in this Monday morning edition. It is NCAA baseball edition, really. I mean, yeah, we'll mention some NBA. We'll mention some Rougarou. We'll mention some other things. But it's really all about NCAA baseball this morning as the LSU Tigers will be playing at 1 p.m. Central Time today against Oregon State. They have to lose twice. If they do lose the 1 o'clock game, they'll play 55 minutes later, game two. So we'll most likely have it resolved today, barring weather. We'll talk some LSU baseball in a minute. Very interesting stories developing out of the SEC. The SEC champion, the tournament champion, Vanderbilt, one of the favorites to go to Omaha, a favorite to maybe even win the national championship. They go 1-2 at home in an NCAA regional. They lose 2-1 to Xavier and get eliminated. And so they're out. Auburn, 2-Q. They hosted a regional. They were one of the hottest teams in the league the second half of the year. Everybody talking about how hot Tennessee and Auburn were. Auburn goes 2-Q at home. And today, Penn, the Quakers, are taking on USM, the Golden Eagles, Southern Miss. The winner of that will go to the Super Regional. So whoever comes out, it will be a surprise, and it would be shocking if Penn does at that Auburn Regional. But so Auburn out, Vandy out, which the Vandy loss, Tommy, that one hurt a little bit. We went on the Barstool app, and that one hurt. Let's just say that was costly. There are three teams in. South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama have all punched their ticket to the Super Regionals. South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. Tennessee on the road at Clemson, and South Carolina and Alabama. Alabama at home, South Carolina on the road. So, and then there are other teams, A&M, Florida, Kentucky, and Arkansas. All are playing winner-take-all games to go to the Supers. And, of course, LSU in a catbird seat, they have to lose twice at home. So we'll find out tomorrow who's all advancing to the Super Regionals. At this point, there are three teams in. There's a possibility of five more teams getting in from the SEC. One of those being Texas A&M, who would play Texas, who won the Miami Regional. Texas versus Texas A&M with a chance to go to Omaha would be must-watch TV, Tommy.
That would be amazing. It'd be in Austin, as you were talking about a minute or two ago. Both going to be in the SEC in the 25 baseball season. Wow, that'd be a script that the NCAA would like.
Let's talk a little bit about LSU baseball for a minute. The Tigers shocked everybody when we went on the air on Friday morning on Sports Shorts Daily to talk a little bit about LSU baseball. We were still trying to figure out who was going to pitch. We all assumed it would be, Floyd or maybe Hurd. We didn't see coming that it would be Paul Skeens and that he would go 124 pitches and throw a complete game.
Yeah, that was it caused a lot of conversation by the SEC network and the ESPN guys, the announcers, on down through social media, and everybody at their favorite watering hole. Lots of conversation. It's easy to coach when you're not the coach. I'll just say that. Got to defer to Jay Johnson, like we talked about on Sports Shorts Radio Saturday morning. We were over at Calandro's on Perkins and Segan. But right now, it all looks like it has kind of worked, and we'll see. And now everybody keeps trying to tell me that Skeens would throw today if they had to get one out or two outs. I don't think that's the case. I don't think they would throw him again, even if it was one batter. But it's up to Jay Johnson. What do you think?
Oh, no chance. No chance you're going to see Floyd. No chance you're going to see Skeens. No chance you're going to see Hurd the rest of the way. This is a new era and a new way of doing things. And in the modern era, you don't bring pitchers back on 1 day or no day rest. And especially guys that are high velocity guys that in Floyd's case, for example, he's got a potential to be a big draft pick. They're not going to mess with that. Those guys are burned. This isn't 1998 where they would do that. And Doug Thompson would be back out there today if necessary. Those days are over. So they're going to have to get it done with what they've got left. And they do have a lot left, in that bullpen. So I would expect that Javen Coleman get the start today for LSU. The lefty, of course, who missed most of the year recovering from that Tommy John surgery. They've sort of groomed him for this role. It hasn't necessarily worked out, but he's probably the one that I would assume they would give the ball to and say, hey, go get me 3 or 4 innings, get me a time through one, maybe 2 at most times through the order. If Javen Coleman can say go 3 or 4 innings, Tommy, and only allow 1 run, then they're in a good spot with Cooper and Ackenhausen, and Guidry can come back today, and the lefty Hastings. They've got, and Collins. They can be okay, and so that's what we'll see.
Yeah, and Guidry only threw 12 pitches last night. By the way, 11 of them for a strike. That's what you call pounding the strike zone, 11 out of 12. So, it's Johnny Holstaff. The more they can get out of Coleman, the better. But I think as much as anything else, the key is score a bunch of runs. Keep in mind, Oregon State's pitching's got to be near the bottom of the barrel as well, because obviously they played an extra game late last night, and they ended up throwing, I think, 3 guys in that game. Yes. So, and one threw a whole bunch in the middle of it, Ingram or whatever, he's not going to be available. So you got to get the bats, got to hit, whether it's the long ball or manufacturing runs. Maybe you got to outscore them, but, in conjunction with the pitchers stepping up.
So let's go back to Skeens for a minute. It was an interesting decision. We didn't really get an explanation from Jay Johnson on why he threw Skeens, other than to say that he did a lot of research and, a lot went into the decision. What I do believe that Wes Johnson, I believe that Skeens' camp, both kind of got together earlier in the week and discussed it. And this was the decision that they agreed upon. And then Jay kind of went with it. It was an interesting one.
Skeens said he knew Tuesday that he was throwing.
Right. And so here's the interesting thing about it is that, as it turns out, it may end up being a genius move, although Jay Johnson didn't know, he wasn't working for the Weather Channel. He didn't know what was going to happen on Saturday, where the game was going to get postponed to Sunday. And he surely didn't know that they were going to play a few innings and then have a 3-hour rain delay and burn the starting pitcher. So from that perspective, because if you would have held Skeens till Sunday, then he would have pitched 3 or 4 innings, and then that would have been it. He would have been burned. And you would have, so as it turns out, you throw him on Friday. He's set to go for next Friday or Saturday, whenever game 1 is of your super regional, provided you get through. And so it's going to wind up being probably pretty good, because LSU won last night 6-5. But if they would have lost last night 6-5 or 7-6, then all hell would have broke loose. But it was wild. I don't agree with the decision personally, but who cares? I'm not the one getting the $1 million to make those decisions. He is, and Wes Johnson's getting $750 to make those decisions. I think they should have gone Floyd and then should have gone. Now, it didn't. They didn't. It worked out, and that's all that matters. As an LSU fan, go Tigers. But it was very, very interesting, to say the least. And now LSU has burned their 3 starting pitchers through 2 games, and thank God they won on Saturday, Tommy, against Oregon State 6-5, or Sunday 6-5, because I don't think if you burn 3 starting pitchers off this team and you've got to go win 3 games in a row in a regional, that they have enough left in that bullpen to do that. I just personally don't think they do. And so we won't have to worry about that. They only got to go win 2 with what's left in that bullpen. And you're going to be facing a team who's playing in their 4th and 5th game of the regional. So that's good news for LSU. TK, you there?
Having a little bit of an issue here with the.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, so here's the thing, Tommy. We move on. LSU, Thatcher Hurd gave him a gutsy performance. I think that's the best way to describe it. He went 5 innings out of the bullpen after the rain delay, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, a couple big homers he gave up, but he hung in there and he punched out 12 in 5 innings, a career high at LSU. It was a gutsy performance, very similar to what he did at Georgia, where it wasn't all perfect. He gave up a couple home runs at Georgia when he had the 2-run lead in the 9th and blew it, but then he showed tremendous intestinal fortitude, pitching well in the extra innings. He did the same thing last night.
Yeah, and when that curveball's working, he's going to be effective. I mean, he had the curveball working, the spin rate. He was dumping it in the zone or just below the zone. And, he definitely, with all the strikeouts, obviously, but that was working. And then every now and then when he threw in the 94, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, that makes it look even better. So the curveball was working, and that's what helped Hurd. And he did. It was a great performance.
Gavin Guidry, the young freshman out of Barb High School, came in, got 2 strikeouts there in the ninth to earn the save, only his 2nd save of the year. But that was big for that young man, for his confidence and everything moving forward. And the Tigers hit 5 home runs. How about that Joe Bear bomb to center field? Dead center, over 405 when it was a tie ball game. His 11th home run of the year was Joe Bear, who batting averages around at 300. He's got 11 homers. Remember last year, 249 at 18 homers. I'll take the 300 average with 11 homers, especially since he didn't play a ton in the first quarter of the year. Bottom line is Beloso and Travinsky. I mean, Travinsky, what he's doing right now, Tommy, is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and Pearson's doing a good job too. I mean, that's what it takes. Guys to step up who 4, 5, 6 weeks ago weren't doing anything. And that's what it takes because, and Tommy White, somebody Mark just said, I think I'm moving down in the lineup. I don't think so. You stick with your same line. He's an All-American. He's a finalist in the Golden Spikes Award list. I wouldn't move him anywhere. Because if Cruz and White and Morgan, who has struggled a little bit lately, they get hot and the other guys stay hot, there'll be a lot of runs on the board.
By the way, thanks for watching the show. Thanks for listening to the show. Please like and share the show. But don't touch Tommy White. Leave that dude where he's at. He's hitting 382. He's one of the most dangerous hitters in the country. Every time, even when he swings and misses, Tommy, it's a good thing for the Tigers. He takes such a giant hack, and it's so intimidating for the other team and the other pitcher that it's still got value even with the swing and misses. Okay, so don't touch Tommy White in the league.
Tommy White's one of them guys. They know when he's on deck. Okay, it's like the old Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. Pitchers knew when he was on deck. They knew when he was in the hole. 2 batters away. That's the impact that White has on the other pitching and the guy in the other dugout calling the pitches. I mean, that's what's going to happen. And I don't move Tommy White at all. You leave him right where he is. You let Tommy White be Tommy White.
He definitely is over swinging right now. He's trying to hit a 5-run homer every single time he takes a hack. And it seems like he's almost predetermining before the pitch comes if he's going to swing or not, because he's starting to really chase balls out of the zone that he necessarily didn't do. He didn't do that much of earlier in his season. But anyway, today, pitching for LSU, what's your thoughts relative to who they should go with?
I agree with you. I think they're going to go with Javon Coleman. Hope to get 3 innings out of him or more. If he can push it into the 4th, so be it. And then you're going to have Ackerhausen, Cooper, maybe Blake Money, depending on the score. You can get way up. The pitching plan might change as opposed if it's tight or if you're behind. And, you got 2 games to play. So I think that we'll see Javon Coleman. They'll hope to get 3 out of him. And if he can go beyond 3, that's a plus.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I mean, if you got to feel good about the way this bullpen is trending, when you talk about Cooper and Ackenhausen, they had some of their better performances, of the year the last couple of times. So that's good. Guidry's pitching with a lot of confidence. Coleman's a little bit of a question mark. Maybe they have a short hook on him. Maybe they go in a different direction. But obviously, he's a guy he's a big part of the future. So you want to see him have some success. The crowd won't be as big as normal when you talk about a 1:00 game on a Monday. It is what it is. But at the same time, I think LSU is going to still have a giant crowd. Oregon State's got to be exhausted. They basically were at the ballpark and all day, all night, and they got to turn around and come back in this heat and humidity and a 1:00 game playing. This is where it takes the toll on the visitor.
Yeah, and if the bats score, LSU can score 8 or 10 runs. Johnny Holstaff figure out a way to get 27 outs. No 10-run rule today, as we know. And I think LSU closes it out and wins the 1:00 game.
If LSU wins, they take on the winner of the Kentucky Regional, which is the winner of Kentucky and Indiana. They'll play a 1-game winner-take-all today, and then it'll be in Baton Rouge. Be interesting to see. LSU beat Kentucky in their series earlier this year, but Kentucky's presents a challenge. You'll see a lot more Milazzo next week if Kentucky comes to town. They led the SEC in stolen bases and bunting, and there's no doubt Milazzo will have to play, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with the DH situation. Let's move on real quick to the NBA. Give me some thoughts. How about the Miami Heat? They go on the road after getting beat pretty handily in Game 1. They win a three-point affair, had 3 players with 20 or more points. The Miami Heat even the series up at 1 apiece. And they always say the series doesn't begin till a road team wins. And Miami Heat did. And a number 8 seed has now made this thing a best-of-5 series.
Yeah, they have. And they'll be back home Wednesday night, couple of days off, travel day, then a little downtime. The NBA stretching it out. And as of right now, the Nuggets are a 2-point favorite on the road. The over-under is 215. And, hey, the way that the Heat played last night, when you look at the box score, I heard a couple of comments on the Dan Patrick show this morning. This series is wide open. Denver, everybody, the better team, the heavy favorite before the series started. But Miami got everybody's attention last night. Wednesday night will be a big game in Miami.
By the way, the Baton Rouge Rougarou in the Texas Collegiate League, they had a heartbreaking loss last night on the road. They'd won 3 in a row. The Rougarou are now 3-2 through the first 5 games of the season. They play tonight in Victoria, Texas. Last night, Tommy, they had a crowd, 1,500 to 2,000 people at the ballpark. Huge crowd over in Victoria, Texas. And tonight they play at 7 p.m. You can watch the game on TCL TV. Just go to the brrougarou.com and follow the link in the drop-down box to watch the game. Rougarou had a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 8th and then gave up 3 runs. They gave up a couple of hits. We had a couple of mistakes in the field. Led to 3 runs, and the Rougarou took it on the chin 3-2. But they pitched very well again as the pitching staff's doing a real nice job to start the season. But the Rougarou will be back home. Make your plans Wednesday night. The Rougarou will be back Wednesday and Thursday. The Rougarou back home 7 p.m. at Pete Goldsby Field. You can get your tickets at brrougarou.com. Come on out. Make your plans to attend. It's going to be an awesome night Wednesday and Thursday this week before LSU plays at Super Regionals. Come check out minor league baseball, but with college players, Baton Rouge, Rougarou, Wednesday and Thursday night of this week. Tommy, tell us about Court Street Cafe before we get out of here.
Red beans and rice is the lunch special today. They always got a lunch special and a dinner special at Court Street Cafe, 805 Court Street in Port Allen. Just a couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge. Jason and the staff do a super job here. Connect with them on Facebook and Instagram. It's a great way to keep up, and we always enjoy coming out here to the Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. We want you to check it out.
If you live or work anywhere near downtown Baton Rouge, or obviously if you live in Brewley and Port Allen, it's super easy. But it's not as intimidating as you think going over that bridge. It's probably 5 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge to Court Street Cafe, and that's not a joke. And it's fantastic food. Go check them out. Please like and share this video. We'll be back on Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily. Until then, follow along. Go Tigers today, 1 o'clock. The game is on ESPN+. It's live streamed, and we'll talk all about the Super Regionals on Wednesday. For Tommy, I'm Ronnie. Have a great one, everybody.